downtown Seattle. I'm Ursula Royteen.
Subscribe to us on YouTube for our can't miss clips. KIRO Radio 97.3 FM. News and talk, powered by the Pacific Northwest.
The Big Lead is brought to you by 3010 Weight Loss for Life.
The Dori Monson Show on KIRO Radio. This is The Big Lead.
Coming to you from the Carter Subaru studio. Welcome. Welcome to The Big Show. We're also streaming on Facebook Live for The Big Lead here. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. And if you were listening yesterday, I found out about a story about an incident during the show. I was pretty fired up. I said, but I'm going to slow my roll a little bit because we're going to try to get hold of everybody involved. But everybody involved hasn't returned our messages or calls. And so I'm going to let loose here. Let's get right into The Big Lead.
The Big Lead, Dori Monson Show exclusive.
A few days ago, the Seattle Times wrote what I thought was a real hit piece about King's School in Shoreline. And as I said, full disclosure, I was a King's parent for 3 years. Our youngest daughter went there for 3 years, and we had a wonderful experience there. Great, great community. The story in the Seattle Times was 5 teachers have quit at King's because of what they perceived to be an anti-gay policy. And, King's, like many fundamental Christians, affirms their belief that marriage is between one man and one woman. And, of course, that comes from the book of Genesis. That's right at the beginning of the Bible, where God created man and woman. I'm paraphrasing, but they shall become one flesh. For that reason, a man may leave his father and mother. That's right. That's right at the beginning of the book. Okay. So what was interesting about this Seattle Times hit piece on this was it was written under the banner of Education Lab. And let me read to you. It's right at the top of this story about a private Christian school. Education Lab is a Seattle Times project that spotlights promising approaches to persistent challenges in public education. So wait, this whole Education Lab thing is about public schools, and yet you're going to break policy or your mission, your stated mission, to do a hit piece on a Christian school. Okay, interesting. I guess they can do that. But as I'm sure the Seattle Times understands, private schools have a lot more leeway than public schools in how they can dictate their beliefs. Much more. The government can't do that, which is what public schools are. Private schools, they're as free to believe what you and I, free to believe anything, just as you and I are free to believe anything we choose. So then there was a follow-up in the Times yesterday, because they've gotten so much traction with this, by their columnist, Danny Westney. And he was talking about that, King's, yes, they're free to do this. I mean, I'll read to you from his column. Because it's a private religious school, King's has a right to teach whatever it pleases, no matter how retrograde. Yeah, that Bible. That stupid Bible. It's so retrograde. It's not as enlightened as the left in America in 2019. It's retrograde. When I read that, I realized that this is one of the many problems that we have going on right now, especially in an area that is controlled by leftists, as we are around here. And that is, there's no absolutes and there is no truth anymore. None. Our laws, Now, if you're a Democrat, the Attorney General will protect you from our laws. If you're not a Democrat, the Attorney General will go after you. He'll destroy you if he can. Our laws are not absolute. Constitution, our state constitution, the United States Constitution, antiquated documents. They should be living and breathing, and they should come with the times. We shouldn't have a Second Amendment anymore. The Constitution is not an absolute. What's their line all the time? It's a Constitution. It's not a death pact. There are no absolutes. You know, genders, infinite number of genders. 86, I believe, at last count from one leftist group. The Bible, retrograde. It hasn't gotten up with the times. Seattle Times or 2019 Times. Because we are so much more enlightened and virtuous and righteous in our worldview than that stupid old book. Now, I talked to the head of King's School on this show a couple of days ago. And, full disclosure, he's a friend of mine. And he has no idea I'm talking about this topic today. Because I'm going to get to the update that has me so fired up about this. So he told me they don't turn away any gay and lesbian kids, but they do expect their teachers to follow their biblical belief that marriage is between one man and one woman. A private Christian school, of course, is free to do that. And liberal newspapers can slam them for following such a retrograde book as the Bible. Now, do I, as a Christian, believe the Bible is the inspired word of God? Yeah, I do. Do I follow everything in the Bible? Do any of us? I'm a sinner. I'm a sinner. But I think that there's an awful lot of absolutes in the Bible that are wonderful guideposts with which we should try to live our life. That doesn't mean that I discriminate against gay or lesbian people. In fact, I have my longest business partnership going on 20 years now is with the guy who's gay. But we've had a business partnership for more than 20 years. It's not up to me to judge how he lives his life. I have no interest in that whatsoever. But by the same token, just as he's free to live his life the way he wants, and every gay and lesbian and bi person is, private Christian schools are free to teach what they want. So here's the update to the story now. So I saw a tweet yesterday from a woman who, because King's Schools is under the umbrella of Christa Ministries, and Christa also owns a Christian radio station. Now, of course, every radio station is a competitor of KIRO. We're all going for the same audience. We're all going for the same advertisers. So far be it for me to come on the air and defend a competitor, but I'm going to. So this Christian radio station, because it's under the same umbrella as King's Schools, there's a mom who wants to lead a boycott of all of their sponsors. Now, she is free to do so because she is a private citizen. Gay and lesbian people are free to live their life as they choose. Private Christian schools are free to teach as they choose. Moms who don't like that Christian school are free to try to lead a boycott. But here's where things get a little bit problematic. So this mom she lists all of the advertisers on this radio station. I clicked on the mom's profile on Twitter. I'm not even going to say her name because you'll probably figure it out from the information I'm about to give you, maybe. I clicked on her Twitter profile, and I see that she writes a column for the Everett Herald. This Christian radio station, they have a signal, I believe, that is particularly strong in the North Seattle, South Snohomish area. They'd be going after the same advertisers as the Everett Herald. So, again, is she free to try to lead an advertiser boycott of a Christian radio station? Yeah. Does the Everett Herald support that? I'd be really curious because, in all media, these are evolving times. And for newspapers in particular, these are incredibly challenging times. Just saw a story today. There have been 33,000 newspaper jobs lost in the last few years. The Everett Herald, I think they still do some okay work. But, man, they used to be. They used to compete with the Times for, that part of the Puget Sound area. But they've had massive staff layoffs. So when a columnist at the Everett Herald is leading a radio station advertiser boycott because they don't like the Christian beliefs of the Christian radio station and the Christian school, that strikes me as very stinky. And so we tried getting hold of this columnist, and you have not gotten anything back from the woman who's trying to lead this advertiser boycott?
No, nothing back.
Okay.
And you know what? I just want to let people know we know that the station is cutting in and out right now, and we're really trying to fix that. So
because I'm on fire today.
Try the app. It's real bad right now.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No.
That's infuriating.
It's infuriating.
This is one of my best monologues ever.
I know. So make sure you go back and listen on the podcast.
Now I'm depressed.
I know.
Okay, so the columnist who's
she has
leading
not
the boycott.
replied to me.
Okay, and then you also emailed one of the executives at the Everett Herald.
Correct.
I called the executive editor at the Everett Herald, went to his voicemail, told him I was going to be talking about this, wanted to get their perspective. Because here's the question I would ask. If a columnist at the Everett Herald is trying to lead an advertiser boycott of a Christian radio station, do you think Christians will organize an advertiser boycott of the Everett Herald? I mean, you'd be free to do so as private citizens, but would that make as much sense as this woman's boycott of a radio station? These are really bizarre, troubling times. There are no absolutes. We're not supposed to have any foundational documents by which to live our life. The Bible is retrograde. The Constitution is outdated. We got to get with the times. The left is so enlightened. They will let us know how to live our lives much better than those founding fathers. I mean, come on. They even used a gender-specific grouping name, founding fathers. How unenlightened were the framers of our Constitution and of our country. Our left today knows so much more. They know to call them they and ze. The Bible's retrograde. And no, it's not literal. There's a lot of things that the Reformation, a lot of stuff in the Old Testament that Christians got away from with the Reformation. I mean, look, I've heard all the arguments. But I personally continue to believe that what I see as the inspired words of the Bible make a lot more sense than the woke left of today. The framers of our Constitution, same thing. A little more wise than people who lay down in the middle of 2nd Avenue or spray paint City Hall because they think that they are so enlightened. So, I would like to find out, we have all these messages out, I would like to find out how the Everett Herald feels about one of their columnists leading an advertiser boycott of a Christian radio station. I want to know how the Everett Herald would feel if Christians organized a boycott of their newspaper. And I'm not calling for that, by the way. This is a tough business. I get it. Newspapers are struggling. But seems to me to be a dividing line between just a private citizen who's pro-gay rights and wants to speak out. She's free to do that. But when that person works for a major newspaper that's competing for many of those same advertisers, I think you're in some pretty shady territory there. But again, the bottom line is this thought that we're not as enlightened as the most brilliant people in history. I do believe that there's a lot I have yet to learn that's in the Bible, that's in our Constitution, from our framers. I don't think that I'm wiser than them. The left does. That's pretty sad. Pretty sad. And that is your big lead for today.
The Big Lead on KIRO Radio.
No, wait, is it cutting out during Tom and Curly's show too, or does it just start at noon?
Well, I was told that it was afternoon and all the shows afternoon. So it was happening the last 3 days just occasionally, but today at noon it flared up. I know, people are very suspicious.
Yeah, who's doing this?
I don't know.
Is it Dow Constantine?
Could be.
Is it Mitzi Johanknick?
Probably.
Is it Inslee? Who's messing with our signal? I'm serious. I just had one of the best monologues of my life right there. Yeah, top 100. Okay, coming up next. I'm just too depressed now.
And really,
I'm seriously
the
depressed.
online
I've been
stream and the app are working. It's just the air feed. So people try different.
You know how much time, how many hours I spent thinking about how I was going to open the show today?
It's not lost.
I'm
available
depressed right
for
now.
everyone. They'll find it.
Dang it! That it's Dow Constantine.
No one can silence Dori.
Well,
Don't tease.
Okay, we will talk with State Senator Steve O'Bannon. Lots more straight ahead on the Dori Monson Show.